Hey guys, so after doing one of the previous videos, I was thinking about the different apps out there, and I thought it would be interesting to do kind of like a synopsis of each of them. So, in particularly how it is to be gay on those apps, right? So, in a previous video, I mentioned Grindr. Grindr is a hookup app only for gay men. Um, there are men who meet significant others through Grindr, so it's not purely a hookup app, but that's mostly what it's known for. It's the most superficial app I've ever been on. But then you've got, all the other ones that are available to everybody, which gay men also use. So in that video, I mentioned how with Grindr, despite the fact that it's superficial and everything, one thing that I appreciate about it is that it's only for gay men and it caters to gay men. I've been on every app, so I feel like I'm a good judge for this. So, you've got the more serious old school ones. You've got the eHarmony and you've got the Match.com. eHarmony is probably the only dating site or app that I refuse to ever use, and you shouldn't use it either. The reason that I have sort of like boycotted eHarmony is that they don't like gay people, and now you can go on that. You can use eHarmony as a gay person. But back in the day, the CEO used to say weird stuff like gay people need more help than what our dating service can offer, like weirdly bigoted statements. So for that reason, and then of course it became not so brand safe to exclude gay people, so they opened it up to gay people. But for me, it's like I refuse to use your service knowing that history and knowing that you only acquiesced because it put you in hot water. From what I hear, it's like the more modern version of Match.com, right? It's subscription based. I have been on Match. So the thing with Match is you don't need to pay to make an account, but you need to pay to basically do anything. So you can see other people, you can create a profile, but you can't actually accomplish anything with a free account. And I would never use Match again personally. I don't know how it is for straight people, but for gay people, it's the only app where I think I didn't interact with one person who I was attracted to. There was only one guy, period, who I talked to at all, and he was just really nice, so I engaged with him. The thing that sucked about Match is that I went into it and decided to pay because I was serious about finding somebody. And I figured if people are paying and everybody's paying together, then this will be a more serious platform, right? With guys who are actually looking for a significant. I ended up being wrong because anybody can create a free account. So if anybody can create an account for free, then you have all these people who will never get back to you, will never respond, will never send you a message saying they're interested or anything because they are not paying. So that's actually really, I think, not so smart on Match's part. I don't know how eHarmony does it, but any of these platforms where you have to pay a subscription, I feel like they should just force everybody to pay or nobody pays. But doing it kind of like half-assed, I don't know that it actually convinces that many people to subscribe to. I'm willing to bet that a lot of people create an account and they're like, oh, I have to pay, I'll do it later, and then they never do it. And then it's a shitty experience for people like me because I pay and then I can't even talk to these men who I see, who I'm attracted to. So that was my experience with Match. I wouldn't recommend it. I've had actual dates from totally free sites, free apps, I should say. So I would not use it again. The next app I tried was OkCupid. The reason I went with OkCupid is that you could actually talk to anybody, you could message anybody. So it felt less superficial to me than Tinder, where it's like you're matching purely based on physical attraction, right? So on OkCupid, I have to say it was probably the biggest confidence downer for me out of any vehicle I tried to use to date, because I would say that my response rate was probably 30 to 70, maybe even, I would say maybe even 20 to 80. For every time I reached out, there was a 20% chance I would hear back. And again, similar typical thing, like a lot of guys would respond, exchange a few messages, then I would never hear from them again. So that was OkCupid. I don't think I went on one date from OkCupid. And as soon as I show up, the guy goes, I totally forgot, I just remembered coming off the subway to meet you. I have a dentist appointment and I can't miss it because I keep missing them and now they're gonna charge me a fee. So he's like, can we hang out after? Can we go together? Will you go with me to the dentist and then we'll go on a date? And I'm just stuck there like, I don't know what to do. And because I like am you know, a nice person, I didn't just want to like reject him off the bat and be like, no, F you. Today I probably would do that. I wouldn't say F you, but I'd be like, we can hang out later, and then I just would never talk to the guy again. But in the moment I just kind of froze and I didn't know what to do. And I also just assumed his dentist was in the neighborhood for some reason. So I'm like, all right, fine. Because he kept telling me, he was like, it's a cleaning, it'll take 5 minutes, like it's fine. I should have been smart enough to know, when has a cleaning ever taken 5 minutes? But so I come with him and he immediately gets a cab. So I'm like, oh fuck, like where are we going? So I wait in the waiting room, I'd say for a good 30 seconds, and then I dip, right? So I kind of like played along with it, and then I dipped. And I was bitter, so I went and got myself one of those Belgian waffles and with Nutella on them. If you're local to New York City, you know exactly what I'm talking about, those waffle trucks. So I'm just bitter, like eating my waffle, and I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. And then he messages me about like 30 minutes or so later. He's like, hey, are you still around? You're not in the waiting room? And I'm literally like 2 blocks away eating my waffle, but I'm like, oh, sorry, yeah, I went home, like, you know, good luck or whatever. And he's like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, block, just eating my waffle. I think my next stop was Plenty of Fish. Again, I don't know how it is for straight people. My experience was that it was like the most ghetto dating. Again, I use the dating site, not the app at that time. It was the most ghetto dating site I've ever been on. Not that user friendly, didn't look nice, and also just the guys were kind of weird. Like, I like all ages, all races, like I'm open to everything. But not only was the site ghetto, the kind of men were very ghetto. And look, I live in Harlem, like a homo thug here and there is okay. But it was not the most sophisticated crowd, and we'll just leave it at that. So I had to leave Plenty of Fish, I had to leave OkCupid. Then I was finally like, you know what? Let's try the Tinder. And I have to say, I actually love Tinder. And I love Tinder because no trolls can message you. I mean, you might find out they're a troll after you were already attracted to them. Tinder, for me, gets the award for my favorite app, my favorite dating app. The reason is that you have to match. You have to be interested in each other to be able to connect and start a conversation. And one of the things I hated about OkCupid was that I would reach out to all these guys, I wouldn't hear back, but meanwhile, all these weirdos, these trolls would contact me. These guys who looked like they rolled out of like the, Lord of the Rings, like the Hobbit movie. Tinder was cool in that it was also just an ego boost. Like, you see all these men who you're like, oh, you're attracted to me too? Like, okay. Tinder, I went on one date, and I think it was literally just one date. That was the date where the guy grabbed my private parts in the middle of the date, out of nowhere. And the weird thing is, he had been a gentleman otherwise. After the date, he was like, do you want me to walk you home? Do you want my jacket? It's cold out. Like, all this stuff. But for me, he ruined it when he did that. I was like, I don't. And he was a lot older too, so I'm like, you should know better. We're not 19. Like, so that was that. That was my Tinder experience. What I like about Tinder is so many people use it that there's an endless pool of people to swipe through. Which is the main difference with Bumble. I enjoy Bumble because it's Tinder light, meaning it's basically the same app as Tinder. The difference is that after you match, you have 24 hours to start a conversation. The woman has to start the conversation. Once she reaches out, the man has 24 hours to respond. With gay people, any of the two guys can reach out first, and then the other guy has 24 hours to respond. I kind of like those rules because it forces you to make an effort. But at the same time, on an app where people are it's New York City, people are busy. A lot of people end up flaking and don't continue the conversation. In my experience, most people on Bumble they never started the conversation. They never engaged with me. So it kind of makes it a disappointing thing, right? It's not a great user experience when that happens. The other thing is Bumble has a much smaller pool of people using it. So for people who get stressed out easily and who get overwhelmed by all the people on other apps, Bumble probably makes the most sense for them. But it's also nice to have a lot of options. So in that way, I think Tinder for me, I think Tinder is better. I tried basically every app out there. For me, all the other ones are irrelevant. The only ones that matter in my mind are OkCupid, Tinder, and Bumble. And honestly, as sad as it sounds, Grindr, I've become more open-minded about the fact that you can actually meet normal guys on there. It's not common. For me, the other apps just paled in comparison. Their user bases were too small, and also a lot of them just had a lot of weirdos. I find that Tinder, Bumble, and OkCupid is where you'll find more men with actual substance and actual desire to date. What's frustrating to me about all these apps is that they don't really cater to gay people. So, for example, OkCupid, you can answer questions on OkCupid. It'll throw these questions at you to try to find who you're compatible with. So it'll say, what do you think is more romantic? Kissing in a tent in the woods or kissing in Paris? They have all these romantic questions, or would you feel comfortable bringing somebody home to your parents after this many dates or that many dates? You do have a few questions that are are you a top or are you a bottom? Are you a big spoon or are you a little spoon? But to me, if you're running an app and you're trying to have gay people use it, that should be a question that people are forced to answer. Because what's the point of having all these options if you're not compatible with a huge percentage of them? And I don't know, I would just like to see a platform that's used by straight people, once offered to gay people, made customized, because it's just different for us. We're not compatible with all of each other, all of us. There are very specific types of gay men in terms of compatibility. So I will say OkCupid at least ask the question, but that's if you get far enough to get there. Tinder makes zero effort. They run it the same way they run it with straight people, which is fair because there aren't any rules for the straight people. So they make it very simple. You just swipe with whoever you want to swipe with. But again, it would be nice if, in the same way that if you're a straight man, it only shows you straight women, there should be a way, in my opinion, that as a gay man, it only shows you gay men you're compatible with. Bumble was we don't even care. We're not going to do anything differently. We don't want to invest too much in this gay component of the app. You guys can figure it out. You gay people can figure it out. Again, they could have been thoughtful and been well, if the woman reaches out first with straight people, maybe what we should do is have the more submissive gay person reach out first, to kind of turn the tables, because that's the whole point of Bumble, right? The woman reaches out first so that the woman feels comfortable and she has the power to start off the conversation. It could have been a really clever thing for Bumble to do the same thing, where they only show you men you're compatible with. And obviously for men who flip-flop and who don't go one way or another and they're open to all kinds of men, then they should have that option to select that, and then they can either respond first or respond later, and they can see everybody. To me, none of this is rocket science, right? It's kind of just a shame to me that none of these apps have done anything to cater to a significant part of their audience. So that's a summary of all the apps. I'm curious what your experiences have been. Let me know in the comments which ones you've hated, which ones you've used, which ones you actually maybe have found somebody on. In my experience, none of them have led to any luck, but maybe you have a different story, so let me know.